episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And Theo's got a mullet for us today. Man, this is crazy. If
his headphones conceal it a little bit.
They do. But if you've been listening to this show or watching this show for a while, you know that Theo's been pretty consistent about his hairstyles. So this is a big change, I feel like. But we're going to talk about.
I feel like you're always mixing it up. Personally, you know? I think you've had a number of looks.
I've had more hairstyles than you two. I'll say that, especially you, Matt. I think you've rocked the same.
Man, and I have pretty much. It just goes.
I don't really change my hairstyle either. It's just long or short.
I mean, that's kind of how mine is, but because it's so long, like the way it falls can kind of drastically change it, I feel. Or like the way it parts can kind of drastically change it. Blaiden, I don't think yours can really have a side part or middle part, or maybe it can.
If I really tried, I'm sure I could figure it out. But
yeah.
See, like my hair just doesn't like style like that at all, dude. I've been using the sea salt spray recently. I'm a big fan of that. But back when like middle parts were popular, I'm like, I wonder if my hair could do that. And I split it to the side, and I'm sure there's some people listening to this who had the same thing where it's like a totally flat and it doesn't work at all. And you're like, never mind. You push it back over and you walk away from the mirror. Yeah.
Well, I saw you this weekend in Cincinnati, Matt. I thought your hair looked pretty good. I was a fan.
The sea salt spray is big time, and really you got to put it in when your hair is wet getting out of the shower. It's a whole new cheat code I didn't know about. But I had to rep my Buckeyes today.
You did.
That's right.
Your Buckeyes. Well, we're gonna be talking. We'll talk some college ball as well, but our main focus is going to be our final sort of NFL prediction episode. We've went through every single division and given you kind of how we see each of those playing out. But today we're gonna go through our full playoff bracket. We'll list each of our seedings for the AFC and for the NFC, and then we will give you our Super Bowl matchups and who we think is going to win. But yeah, let's talk about some college ball, or just how are you guys doing on this beautiful Sunday afternoon?
Pretty good. Just watched college this weekend, so it'll bleed nicely into this conversation.
Hey man, we gotta look at some real dogs out there. I will say, I was watching Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, and those quarterbacks are horrible. Oh my god.
They're kind of not, though, is the thing. Like, maybe the defenses are just good.
I was thinking that, you know, maybe there were a lot of free rushers, some well-designed blitzes. I was like, maybe they really just didn't have a chance. But especially Texas A&M's quarterback, that final drive, he threw just like 3 straight incompletions that weren't anywhere close.
Yeah, it was Hamburger City. I thought Texas A&M was drawing up some really nice blitzes and whatnot. I don't think Riley Leonard is terrible. I just think that A&M has a good, talented defense, and they were sending some heat. And I don't think Notre Dame's offense is like the most crazy stacked in the world. Although their running backs are really good. They're a good team. Notre Dame does seem good. Don't get me wrong, but it was a dogfight for a reason. Even though A&M couldn't move the ball that much. I mostly was locked in on Ohio State and Clemson, Georgia. Those were the 2 big ones that I was watching. I'll look at some other games at the same time, but I can't do the 4 multi-screen.
I don't think anybody truly can do the multi-screen. That's kind of my take about like red zone and multi-screen. Whenever I see people tweeting about like, oh, I've got 6 games on right now, I'm like, how is that possible? But I do get it because the commercial breaks are just so brutal, especially in college.
I think you can for sure do 2. I like flipping back and forth between 2. 3, I really start to question if you have 4 or 5 games on. It's just tough.
I always like the setup. I like the setup of having like 1 or 2 main games and then having red zone just so like as a method of keeping tabs. But I think
I get it also for gambling. If like that's kind of your primary objective on Saturdays or Sundays, the multi-screen makes sense.
Fantasy teams and stuff.
But
Hey.
How do you think the Buckeyes did, Matt? I mean, it was 17 to 7 or 17 to 3 for a long time in that Akron game, but I don't know. It didn't really seem like they were fully opening it up. I kind of felt like they were trying to establish that physicality, and maybe it didn't result in as many points on the board. But what was your kind of takeaway?
There's a fine line to walk with this stuff because you don't want to come off as like too much of a doomer over a 52-6 victory. At the same time, like them not coming out and like dominating Akron right out of the gate, not awesome. Because there's some teams that had an easy matchup, and that's what they did, though. Particularly the running game and struggling to get push on the offensive line against Akron, like right out of the gate, when that's like the big thing we need to see out of them. It makes me nervous. Now, it can get better as the year goes on because they have a lot of new guys in there, and they're going to get Donovan Jackson back. But this has been a problem for years. We said the same thing last year. It didn't get better as the year went on, and they didn't win the national title or beat Michigan largely because of that. So I think it's sort of I'm not like it's over, as my standpoint on the run game, of course. But I'm definitely going to be concerned about it until it's like we actually start to see the improvement. That being said, there's a lot of positives. Like Jeremiah Smith looked dope as a true freshman coming in, like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, and a super talented Ohio State receiver room to be the guy. It almost seems like automatically. I think he's going to be as legendary as you can possibly be. I think he's going to be right up there with anybody else you could name as far as Ohio State receivers goes.
Sounds like he was like that, like the day he showed up to practice.
Yeah, I mean
they were saying he got his black stripe taken off within like 4 days.
Yeah, it's not taking long for him, and the fact that they have him for 3 more years is super exciting. I also thought that Howard showed some stuff that McCord didn't. Like he ran the ball, I thought, particularly well, and it's like, cool, that's a fold that McCord didn't have. There were a couple of plays where he got pressured, although the pass blocking was mostly good, but there's a few plays where he got pressured, and he did a good job maneuvering around it and still making a play and doing stuff out of structure, which we knew he was more comfortable with at Kansas State than McCord really ever was for OSU. And then defensively, the sack production was massive. Last year, Ohio State had JTT, had Jack Sawyer. They had 5 sacks in the first 4 games. That's the stat. Today, or last game, they had 5 and 1. So to see that actually turn into them getting the quarterback down, even if it's just against Akron, they weren't getting the quarterback down against other weak teams. And honestly, they had a great defense that struggled to force turnovers and struggled to force negative plays. Their havoc rate was really low. And I think in this game, it was a lot better. That's a big deal. Their secondary is going to be crazy. Their pass rush is going to be crazy. They're going to be a really good team, but I am still a little concerned about the run game. I do think the box score is a hair misleading. It wasn't perfect, but definitely felt better after the second half, and definitely felt better after Michigan and Oregon struggled.
I was about to say, I know, if you're concerned about beating Michigan, they don't look so hot either. So
I don't think they're going to be as good offensively. That's their big thing. They lost a lot of talent. We'll see how they look against Texas. It is game 1, and kind of like Ohio State, they struggled and then pulled right within the spread. So it's like, well, they missed it by 1 point, and you could sort of be like, hey, they turned it around. But
Texas looked awesome.
But Texas is going to be a real big matchup. So I'm not going to run victory laps about Fresno State being in the game late. But we'll see how Texas goes. I wonder what the spread on that one's going to be.
Theo, what games did you watch?
I watched a little bit of everything, I'd say. I thought that Cam Ward was impressive in his debut for Miami. He's someone that I've had my eye on for a long time because of the Twitter account PFF Sucks, who was watching his incarnate word tape and like pushing agendas based on like incarnate word practice reps. And he just was so convinced that Cam Ward was the guy like years ago. So I always kind of had my eye on Cam Ward. And then he played at Washington State last year. And I remember checking out his Oregon film and his Washington film, expecting it to be like kind of a disaster, right? those are the powerhouses in the conference. Washington State isn't that good. But when I turned it on, I was expecting to have to make excuses, like stat line horrible, game, like a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. But when I watched those two, I actually came away with it like Ward, I think objectively anybody watching would say like he played very well against these two very good teams. So I was really excited to see what he could do taking another step up at the U. And I thought he looked really good. I think he's super like kind of calm in the chaos of the pocket. He's got a pretty good arm. He can create and move. And I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, there's going to be those hero plays. There's going to be those boneheaded plays, right? But the ratio is there. It is very worth it, right? Like we talk about, I don't know, a lot of college quarterbacks are prone to like bonehead plays. I don't think Cam Ward is like especially bad at being like being an idiot sometimes, like I think that he sometimes he might try to do too much, but overall I thought he's in control of it. He's a game manager as well as a playmaker. I think he's a little bit small. I don't think he's the craziest athlete. It's not like he's Milroe or like Caleb Williams or anything like that. But I was impressed with him, and really the entire Miami team played pretty great. And Billy Napier for Florida might be pretty cooked, considering everybody has their best performance against Florida all the time. And that was kind of the one I was watching the most, I'd say.
I caught a little bit of the Arizona New Mexico game in the late part of the night. I did not realize how good Ted McMillan is, dude. What are we talking? He had
pretty nice.
He had 200 yards and 3 touchdowns at halftime. What are we talking about? He finished the night with 10 catches. What was it? 300 some odd yards. 10 catches, 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dog.
He's just bigger and stronger than everybody else. He's one of the more physical bully receivers that I've seen in a while. I mean, 6'5", 215 pounds, whatever he is. Guys try to press him and play man coverage. They can't. Very first touchdown of the game, right? He just blew right by somebody who was trying to press him. He fell on the ground. And I saw that a lot.
He's like this. He's this big physical receiver. He's also really fast and really quick. Like, he'll burn receivers on a deep route, or he'll catch like a hitch, make 3 guys miss, break a tackle, and get down to the 1 yard. I'm like, dog, what is his weakness?
I would say that he's not quite as fast as the New Mexico defense made him maybe look in that game, but he's still like, I heard the announcers say he was charted. That's the first
time I've seen him. So
I heard the announcers say that he was tracked going 22 miles an hour. I would say, I don't know if he'll run a DK type 40 time. I don't think he looked that fast when I watched him. I know that DeCamari and Richardson, when they played Mississippi State last year, did a pretty good job trailing him and following him around. Okay. But DeCamari and Richardson playing for the Raiders runs a 4.3, and he's 6'4". He was one of the most athletic corners at the combine. So maybe McMillan really is that fast, and he just got trailed by someone I was underestimating the speed of.
Also really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's hard to find it. He's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he looks scary, man. But I don't know, New Mexico, they have some guys also, I feel like. But it was more like they had some guys that made a couple plays in moments. But as soon as they just start getting McMillan the ball, Arizona pulled away very quickly.
Yeah.
But that first quarter, I was like, man, New Mexico, they're not that bad. They got some dudes. And then it got out of hand.
Did you guys see Ashton Genty's performance?
I saw a few clips of it. That guy is ridiculous.
I saw highlights.
Man.
I love watching Ashton Genty. He had 6 touchdowns. He had how many yards? 267 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns against Georgia.
He went crazy.
He is super unique. I absolutely love him. It was pretty easy for him against Georgia Southern. Like, the line opened up some pretty big holes for him, obviously. But, like, he's got the home run speed that you're looking for. And just how creative he is down the field always stands out. I feel like he kind of looks for contact almost in a smart way. Like if he sees two people in front of him, he'll kind of try to shoulder someone and like chisel out a bit of space for himself. Like he's a small back, but he's not afraid to really like pop somebody and like reduce his frame and then like spin right out of it. So it's almost like he's like chiseling out a wider opening by kind of bodying somebody. And I enjoy that kind of physicality along with the jukes, along with the burst, along with the balance, along with the hurdles that he's got, along with the catching ability. He had over 3 yards per route run last year. I looked it up. Man, what's not to like? I know he's small, but man, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on.
Size doesn't matter, man. We know this.
For running back,
unless your name is Tet McMillan, then size doesn't matter.
For wide receiver, I think it might. But for running back, I think like sometimes you get that natural lowness to the ground. You're kind of small to track down behind all the big bodies up front. I like small running backs. I know that they can get injured, but
hey, if they don't get hit, they can't. If you can't touch them.
I agree. I think the way he moves is just really rare, and his ability where it just seems like he's very fast, but he never has any momentum stopping him from like picking a completely different direction, and then also on top of that, just having the creativity and like the thought to be able to pull off some of the stuff that he does is crazy. I'm really excited about him.
Yeah, like making his move at the second level and preparing for the third level at the same time is what he's really good at. So it's like stringing those moves together as he goes through level 1, 2, 3, and then he's gone. Like he's about as good as I've ever seen doing that. So yeah, man, he's going to be a blast to watch this year.
What year is he?
I think that he's eligible. I think that he's a junior.
All right,
he is. So
we'll be watching.
Junior.
We'll
he's
be watching
5'9", 250.
Closely.
How much does he weigh?
215, they say.
Oh, then he's all good.
5'9". Oh,
I was not expecting him to be that heavy. He doesn't look.
Oh my god! And he moves the way that.
Yeah, he's nice.
Jesus, man,
he's nice.
That's scary. Oh man. Well, I didn't really pay attention to any more of the college matchups. I'm trying to think if any other games stood out to me, and I can't think of anything off the top.
I got one more. Georgia,
Go
Clemson.
for it, Matt.
I'll give Clemson's defense credit. I mean, I thought their defensive line was pretty nasty. Woods was getting in there. He was nasty. I mean, they had 19, whose name is slipping me. They were great. And then just overall a really downhill defense, but damn, their offense stinks, dude. They do not have the playmakers, and Klubnik I don't think is that great.
No,
Georgia, on the
Klubnik.
other hand, they look pretty good. They certainly aren't perfect. Like, I guess that you could argue like their offense took a little while to get going, but defensively they're just so downhill. They're so aggressive, and they're not sloppy about it at all. The physicality is just another level. And Beck, I thought, looked really, really good. I'm a big fan of Beck. I think there's some people who have already, I guess, like decided that he's Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. And I think my question about it, number one is like, how bad is that at this point? Because I just think Goff is a good quarterback. And I also don't think that Beck is like totally incapable of creating a little bit, and I think Beck does a good job of handling pressure. Like, I think that he's going to be good at the next level. I do.
Yeah, I'm with you with Beck. I heard that he was struggling a little bit maybe early in the game. At least that's what Twitter was telling me. I missed the first half, I'd say. But in the second half, he was looking pretty damn good. Like, he hit that dig route when the defender's back was turned. Kind of maybe he was in a Tampa look. I didn't go back for it. And he just ripped that thing. And then the guy turned around and the ball was just getting completed right in front of his face. That's the kind of thing I like about Carson Beck. Like, just a very advanced pocket passer at this point in his career. I thought last year his accuracy was super notable. The way he was managing everything was great. Like you said, like maybe he's Goff, but he's a little bit more mobile than Goff was coming out, like you said. And yeah, is Goff the worst thing to be if the quarterback class is a little bit weak? No, I think you could take that. And Yeah, we'll see if someone like Milroe or like who knows who could Ward. I don't know can become a little bit more exciting. But at the moment, I think that Beck is in pole position to be the first quarterback and potentially the first player off the board, considering that he is a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the Georgia defense.
Oh, my fault.
Malachi Starks, his pick. Yes. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. The man coverage,
right, man.
The adjustment as a safety, not normal at all. Number 11, Jalen Walker, I think, the linebacker, was creating madness. Michael Williams obviously left with an injury. Hope he's all right, but he was disruptive before. To think about this team getting Trevor Etienne in the next few weeks is pretty scary.
I feel like they'll probably win the national title.
I think they've got a good shot at it. I don't know, probably, because it's a long season, but they've got a very good shot at it. They're my favorite and the favorite.
What is up, hotties? You know that when it comes to NFL football, Stay Hot has you covered. But who do you turn to when you need to make smart financial decisions? If your answer is our sponsor, NerdWallet, then you're absolutely right. And if it's not, then allow me to change your mind, because not only have they spent thousands of hours researching and reviewing over 1,300 financial products, but they have the tools you need to make smarter financial decisions. Looking for a credit card? Go beyond the basic comparisons. Filter for features that matter to you and read in-depth reviews. Ready to choose a high-yield savings account? Get access to exclusive deals and compare rates, bonuses, and more. House hunting? View today's top mortgage rates for your new home sweet home. So while Stay Hot is your go-to resource for NFL football, make the Nerds your go-to resource for smart financial decisions. Head to nerdwallet.com/learn more. NerdWallet. Finance smarter. Disclaimer, NerdWallet Compare Inc. NMLS 1617539. You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're really a heat seeker, try spicy ghost pepper. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. I dare ya. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's gotta be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's locations. Well, do you guys want to talk about some NFL football? How we think the playoffs are going to work out. We've talked about how we think the regular season is going to play out. Let's start in the AFC. Theo, I'm curious, what is your seeding for the AFC playoff bracket? We'll start there.
So I got the Ravens as the 1 seed, then the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Texans. Those are your division winners. And then my wild card teams, I have the Bengals, the Jets, and I'm going to go with the Colts. So feel free to pick that apart. Ravens, Chiefs, Dolphins, Texans, Bengals, Jets, Colts.
Okay.
That's
I like having the Colts in
incredibly
there.
similar to mine. I'm not going to lie.
Let's go.
Unfortunately, I wish I could have some big take. I guess my big thing is I think the Chiefs are going to be the 1 seed. I think they're going to be the 1 seed. I can agree with the Ravens will actually not take that much of a step back. I do think the Chiefs are better than them as it stands right now.
Yeah. I used to be on the other side of this. And Theo, I think we ended up switching places. Because I was having the Ravens thinking they would be the 1 seed, but I've recently gone back to thinking it'll be the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs are a pretty safe bet, I'd say. My pick is the Ravens to win the conference, and if I'm going to pick them to do that, I might as well kind of pick them to be the 1 seed. I don't know the point of picking the Chiefs to be the 1 seed and getting the bye, and then saying the Ravens will make the Super Bowl. I might as well just fully go for it.
But it will be solved soon, though.
It will be solved very soon who the 1 seed is going to be.
Right.
First score wins. We will know on Thursday if I'm spitting here, but I've already been through my Ravens charade. Lamar wins 70 75% of his games, just like Mahomes does. I think this is still looking like the best or a top 5 defense in the league. Just in love with the secondary. Excited about the weapons. Really excited about the season that Derrick Henry could have. And I think that, he's not going to have the exact same effect as Christian McCaffrey on the 49ers because he doesn't have that kind of receiving ability. But I think someone who can take it between the tackles like that is, like, I get that he's a running back. He's past some thresholds. I still think that's just going to be an absolutely massive addition for the Ravens, and he's going to have a huge season. So that combined with kind of the age of Kelsey and the way he looked to last regular season makes me think like, hey, maybe the Ravens could do it. But obviously the Chiefs will lateral their way to.
I keep thinking about how weird it is that, like, normally a team will add a rushing quarterback to, like, steal a gap or, like, make defenses account for a new gap. But it's almost like the Ravens are doing the opposite here. It's like, because they already have that gap accounted for. They don't have the inside gaps accounted for in the run game, it feels like. Just because they haven't had that, like, dominant threat of a runner. Dobbins was supposed to be that. But
I think it's about just you need a different level of commitment to stop Derrick Henry than you do, Gus Edwards.
You have to put 8 in the box against this Ravens team, like you do.
You're gonna have
at least 7.
You're gonna have to load up. It's gonna be tough. I've got Chiefs 1, Ravens 2. Then I also have the Dolphins and the Texans, like we've talked about. Then I also have the Bengals and the Jets next, and then. I thought it was very, very tough, but I'm probably going to go with the Bills making the 7th seed and finding a way. I think Josh Allen is a guy who also wins an insane amount of his games. I have a lot of concerns, but I think between like them and like the Colts and the Jaguars and maybe the Browns, I think I'm just going to bet on like the MVP level quarterback there. It's razor thin for that set.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And for the main concern for me is the Bills' defense just looks like it could be a mess.
I don't know if it's going to be a... Go ahead.
I think the defense is going to be okay. I think the offense is going to be okay. It's just a tough-ass division, really. Like, I'm not actually that concerned about anything with the Bills. I just don't know if I like the talent on that team, even with Josh Allen, as much as I like the talent of A-Chain and Mostert and Tyreek and Waddle, which I believe to be the best receiving and running back duo in the league. Tua is limited, but I think the offense is going to click still. And then the defense, I think, has a lot of talent as well, more than what the Bills have got with the healthy Jalen Ramsey. And then the Jets, I just believe it. I'm kind of talking myself into a decent Rodgers year. I know that it's dysfunctional there. The vibes are atrocious. I know that he didn't have the greatest 2022, but I just think about all these quarterbacks who've played at age 40 and been really good. Drew Brees almost took his team to the Super Bowl at 40. Tom Brady did. I just think if you're good enough to play at this point and you still got the arm, and I think Rodgers does still have the arm, regardless of how the Achilles goes, you're going to be okay. And with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and Tyron Smith now and a defense that figures to be top 3, like I could totally see myself getting burned by the Bills. Because the thing is, I even have cooled on the Bills. Like I used to kind of be all doom and gloom about them, and I guess I still am if they're missing the playoffs. But like I do believe in Allen. I do believe like in McDermott to get the defense right. But man, the standard is just so high in the NFC East right now that.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look in terms of talent across the board, I mean, are the Bills the second best team, third best team in terms of talent? They're probably third, right, in terms of overall talent on their team?
I've got them finishing third, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I said Bengals, Jets,
yeah,
Bills.
I think
it could happen. I mean, I look at other teams like the Colts. They're probably the other team I would go with. Anthony Richardson's young, though. I think their offense is probably going to be pretty good, but it could still be some growing pains. Their division is also a little bit easier, but it's not, a bunch of duds there.
I think their division will also be pretty tough.
And then I look at like the Jaguars. We have concerns about them. I think they're largely a pretty similar team running it back. I think that the receiver additions can change things for them, but it's a lot of pressure to put on Brian Thomas Jr. And then I look at the Browns and it's like, dude, their quarterback situation stinks, man. Like they're going to have a bad quarterback. And I sort of believe in the Browns' ability to be that crazy defensive team that can make it happen. But I think it's just as fair to expect regression out of them, even if I do have some thought that they could like be back in that mix for the AFC North altogether than it is, for the Bills, right? Because even if, we talk about like the Diggs loss, sure, but Diggs was already like not playing well at the end of last year. Milano was already like he got hurt last year. Now it sucks that he's not coming back. And I'm not saying that losing those guys doesn't mean anything. It does. But I don't know. I think they figured it out with Allen. I just think he's too good.
Yeah, they've definitely proven that they deserve some benefit of the doubt, like in terms of performing, especially without Milano, because their defense didn't fall off in any crazy way last year.
So that leaves me. I also have the Chiefs at 1 and the Ravens at 2. That's where things stay the same, where things start to change up a little bit and where I start to get a little bit crazy. Actually, I just have the same top 3 as you, Matt. Chiefs, Ravens, Dolphins are my top 3. I have the Colts as the 4 seed. I have them winning their first division title in 10 years. I am really high on the defensive line, as everyone knows. What could sell them is the back end of that defense, but I think the offense is going to be really good. I think Steichen's going to work wonders with Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, and that offensive line took a huge step up from where it was in 2022. And the receivers with Pittman and Mitchell and Pierce and Downs, and it could be really, really dangerous what they could do there. I don't think it'll be quite as good as 2022 Eagles, but that's the mold that they're clearly in right now. So they're my 4 seed. Then for my 5, 6, and 7, I have the Browns, Texans, and Bengals. No Bills, no Jets.
I can get
Don't hate it.
that. Like we've been talking about with the Browns, we've kind of already hit on them, a million times. I do believe in their odds of like kind of pulling off what they did last year. And we have only seen 12 games of Watson. Maybe there's room for improvement from him, even if he's not going to hit that top 5 streak. Plus, we're already seeing, Mims went down for the Bengals. Maybe you really don't believe in the defense, and offensively they're good, but not good enough to overcome everything. That's all possible, but I think I like the Bengals' outlook a little bit more.
I mean, I have the Browns and Bengals finishing with the same record, and it's just like...
You think the Browns are going to beat them straight up?
I went into the AFC North show thinking I had the Browns over the Bengals, but I think Theo talked me into the Bengals. I'll roll with them.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns took care of business against Cincinnati last year. That was a monsoon, and Burrow got hurt, but hey, they
it could always be another monsoon with the Burrow injury.
There could be
you never know when it could strike again.
Hey, a monsoon in Cleveland on the lake, anything is possible.
Regression, it's going to be 85 and sunny out with 2 Burrows.
With two Burrows.
Burrow's going to be feeling extra good.
He's going to be... If one Burrow goes down, they have another Burrow to put in. That's what happens. And then the Texans, we've talked about the Texans to a pretty large extent. I do think they're still going to be really good. I think they're going to be, right there with the Colts. But I think the Colts just literally just get an extra game on them, and it'll be that close, though. I think it'll come down to 1 game difference.
There's some areas that I think the Colts have an advantage on the Texans. I think that I'm glad one of us is on this train, because I do think that it's kind of possible.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the Colts have a lot more.
The only thing that I'm really concerned about with the Colts is the secondary and the linebacker. The back end of that defense looks rough.
There's no concern about first. This is what, honestly, I believe in Richardson, but it's going to basically be his first year starting. versus, and we're comparing that to
Mahomes
CJ
won
Stroud.
MVP in his first year starting.
Right, but Mahomes wasn't Anthony Richardson, who I think will be pretty good out of the gate. I don't think it's going to be particularly ugly. Mm-hmm. But, okay, who has a better quarterback this year? Texans or Colts?
Texans.
Okay, who's got better receivers? Texans. That's
Nico
very
Collins,
tough.
yeah.
That's I think that's a tough 1-2. I'm giving them the edge in both of those categories to overcome. I do think the Colts can do it. I think the run game will be a lot better. But I also think that the Texans' defense has a lot of juice and has a lot of guys that I like. And I favor them just a little bit off the experience.
They have more good players at all levels, but I do think the Colts' the Colts' defensive line being as good and deep as it is ridiculous. I mean, the only guy that I know Ebukam is on IR right now, and that sucks. But to have a defensive line that was top 5 in win rate against the run and the pass, and then they're adding all of our number 1 defensive player in this draft class, who is going to be a day 1 pro ready impact player, and we've already seen in the preseason Latu's speed and technicality and quickness and size. He's got everything that you would want from a high level pass rusher, and he's already showing that on a defensive line that's already looking to be one of the best in the NFL. I mean, they're just going to get after the quarterback.
I think the Texans will too, though.
Oh, I don't disagree. Will Anderson was great last year, and we've seen already Stingley looks like he's going to be in for a huge year.
Yeah, but
I think it's going to be close. I wouldn't be shocked if the Texans did come out and win this division, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts did either. But I think I'm going to ride with the Colts being as good as I think they could be.
I think your best bet for defending the Colts over the Texans is just Steichen is better than Slowick. I think when you consider the Colts have the architect of the 2022 Eagles, who turned Jalen Hurts into the second place in MVP candidate, right? Taking the shots down the sideline, incorporating the QB run, giving plenty of RPOs that are super dangerous with a quarterback like that. Just beautiful, flowing, structured offense compared to Slowick, who is fine last year for the Texans, but also didn't fully maximize Stroud, I'd say, led the league in kind of run pass sequences, just kind of relied on Stroud on a lot of third down and longs. Obviously Stroud balled out and will continue to ball out, but we've seen the impact that coordinators can have and coaches can have the last couple years. It's either Shanahan, McVay, or LaFleur in the NFC Championship game, 3 out of 4 times, right? So the fact having the play caller advantage, which I believe that Colts do, could be what gives them the edge if Richardson is that guy, which he could be, he might not be. So I think that the Colts defense, I don't know. I think that they'd be pretty lucky for it to match up with what the Texans can do, honestly, with how bad they are on the back end. There is no Stingley. Yeah. There isn't even a Kamari Lassiter, I'd say.
The defensive line has to be, it has to do everything. It's going to have to get pressure on every single play and force bad throws so that their secondary can make plays. But if, they have a game like the Browns did against the Broncos last year where Garrett got hurt and they weren't really getting pressure, Greg Newsome got torched on the back end, and that could be a very possible outcome if they go a couple of games without getting a ton of pressure.
Yeah. So I'm leaning Texans because I do think the overall talent of the it's Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's a little bit, but it does Steichen's ability as an offensive play caller does make it. So I think the Colts have that kind of upside. So I don't hate the take, and that's why I've got the Colts in 7th, is because I think things are going to run pretty smoothly, and I do like the front 4 for sure, Buckner and Latu and Kwity Paye and Grover Stewart. It is good. They've got that Northwestern dude who ran a 4.4. at the combine out there. He had a pretty fantastic preseason, looking really disruptive. So I'm excited to see what he can do as well as a depth piece. Sucks that Ebukam got hurt. He was their leading pressure guy last year. I think their leading sacker as well.
I mean, I know Pei, Ebukam, and Adangbo all had breakout years. Yeah, I think those three combined had like 30 of their sacks.
Yeah. So we'll see about them. I've got them over the Bills. It was a very tough call, but maybe Richardson is a little bit on that Josh Allen path. He's got the tools. I just want to be in on Richardson this year. You all know it, listeners at home. Maybe it's my downfall. I'm very excited to see how the Bengals work out. I'm going to change the subject real quick.
Yeah,
I have them here. I gave my impassioned speech when we did the AFC North, saying that they could be the best offense in a while. I kind of live by that, but I also am starting to get a little nervous about the Chase contract situation. I don't know. Mims already banged up his kind of
than Justin Jefferson.
1 penny more. I'd pay him it. I mean, I'd pay him that. Why not? I guess that's what else are you going to be spending the money on? I don't know. I guess CD didn't quite get that, did he? That might complicate things, which makes things
CD
a bit more complicated.
Get that. Ayuk didn't get anywhere close to that, it feels like.
Chase has quite the track record, though. I'm really interested to see the offense because it sounds like they're going to kind of undergo a sort of a identity shift or a scheme change, kind of closer to the more under center condensed stuff that Taylor was running back in LA with Sean McVay, which has been completely vacant. It's looked like the opposite of a McVay offense since they started working with Burrow, who came from a offense at LSU where it was just shotgun, pure drop back progression, right? He just wants to lead the league in yards and touchdowns and win MVP and all that kind of thing. And Burrow is very capable of doing that, but it kind of sounds like Callahan has kind of taken that identity to Tennessee, and that the Bengals are going to try to be a bit more balanced and do some things that Burrow hasn't really quite done before, which could be good. It could be bad. I have no idea. Maybe it'll look a little bit awkward. Oh, you shouldn't have changed the scheme. He should just drop back and throw it to T. Higgins and Jermaine Burton and they shouldn't head it off. But maybe it'll help the offensive line that they can go, forward a little bit finally. And that's about their identity. So I'm super excited to see, after kind of a wasted year, are the Bengals still that team, or are there just kind of some roadblocks in the way with the offensive scheme change and count the good players on defense as well? So I was really high on the Bengals, and now I'm a bit more up in the air on the Bengals, but I still believe in that ceiling, because if the offense does hit, there is no reason why Joe Burrow can't win MVP and Jamar Chase can't win Offensive Player of the Year and all of this stuff. So
yeah.
They're one of the teams I'm most excited to watch week one.
That's why, I have got the Texans, Bengals, and Browns, all winning 10 games. And I'm any of those teams, I think really, maybe the Texans don't miss. They feel pretty safe to probably make it. But the Colts could end up winning 10 games and they would be in that mix too. But I feel like either the Browns or the Bengals could hit their floor of outcome. And then in which case maybe the Bills get in over them or the Jets get in over them, who I each had having 9 wins. So yeah, the defense for the Bengals really concerns me to a similar degree as maybe the offense for the Browns concerns you. You just look and, like you said, Theo, count the good players. And even though I think Jordan Battle is going to be good, I think the defensive line is going to take a step back. And the secondary showed last year that it just the moves they made to try and replace Bates and Bell, and now the corners are getting worse. It's just not panning out the way that they wanted to. So
definitely. But at the same time, Lou Anarumo has been a top tier defensive coordinator before. Maybe the secondary Getting Geno Stone maybe solidifies the safety position. Maybe they can be a bit more ball hawking, run a few more disguises. That was kind of missing last year with Bates out of the fold. So I really have no idea how the Bengals will look. Will they be disappointing? Will they be awesome? I think their range of outcomes, I'm starting, I may have convinced you guys, but maybe you guys kind of convinced me that the Bengals, like, I just don't know what to think about them anymore. But I'm still putting them in the playoffs. I think
both
Burrow
of those teams, the Bengals
is the main
and the Browns,
character,
have a range of win totals from like 8 to 11. Mm-hmm. And it could be either for both teams, really. You know, there's just something magical about being at a live event, whether it's the energy of a packed stadium, the thrill of a concert, or the laughter at a comedy show. There's truly nothing like it. I remember catching a game last year, one of those last-minute decisions where everything just fell into place. The roar of the crowd, the buzz in the air. It's an experience you just can't replicate anywhere else. And I'm really looking forward to making even more memories this year. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about Game Time, the app that's been a game changer for me. They've had this new feature called Game Time Picks, and trust me, it's a lifesaver. It takes all the hassle out of finding tickets by showing you the best deals on the best seats. So no more endless scrolling or second guessing. Just the other day, I was looking for tickets to an upcoming concert, one I've been dying to see, and I decided to check out Game Time Picks, and let me tell you, the deals they had were unreal. I found a super deal that was just too good to pass up, and within minutes, I had my seats locked in. The app even let me preview the view from my seats before I bought them, so I knew exactly what to expect. But what really impressed me was with how easy the whole process was. The app is super intuitive, and with features like all-in pricing, there were no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you get. Plus, with their lowest price guarantee, I knew I was getting the best possible deal. And if anything happened, like the event got canceled, they got you covered with their flexible customer service policy. So if you're anything like me and you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, you've got to check out Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code BLAIDENK for $20 off your first purchase. That's, of course, BLAIDENK for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. If we want to move on to the NFC, and then we can talk about who we have in the Super Bowl, we can do that. Theo, give me your NFC seeding.
Oh God, I don't want to because everybody's gonna get all mad at me.
Packers are the 1 seed.
Go ahead.
The Packers are the 1 seed again. They're my favorite in the conference, so I might as well just put them as the 1 seed, right? Like, why would I project them to be the 2 seed and then make up ground later? Like, I'll just stand on what I said. I do have them going first. And then I have the 49ers, then the Cowboys, then the Saints in the 4 seed, and then the Lions, the 5 seed, the Seahawks, and then the Eagles.
Eagles 7.
Yeah.
Man, that's interesting.
I mean, I see the vision on that. I don't think that's crazy.
I don't think it's crazy either.
In my very honest opinion. I mean, yeah, I know how you feel about the Packers. I don't think their defense is quite that level, but I guess the argument is, you know, is the 49ers defense going to be that level this year? We don't know. Is the Lions defense going to be that level? We're not sure. I have a lot of faith in their offense to be great too. So I don't hate it whatsoever. I can go down my list. I have the Lions as the 1 seed. I think that they're the best in the division and kind of feeling the same way. I'm going to go with them over your stupid, dumb, green Packers. Then I have the 49ers at 2. Honestly, since we made our last episode, like, I definitely have become more and more worried about their defense not being that great. There's sort of a lot of signifiers that it might not turn out. Now, they might also just be so awesome offensively because they've got Ayuk back that they get it done anyway. I think this will be close. I don't want to sound like I'm too out on the Niners. I wish it could be exclusively a pro-Lions take. But I could also see the argument that maybe you like the Lions division a little bit more so than you like the 49ers more. But I think the Cardinals are going to be more competitive. I think the Rams are going to be right back where they were. I think the Seahawks are going to be pretty good. So I see the vision on that. And then I've got Cowboys at 3, especially with CD coming back. I feel comfortable about that. I've got Falcons at 4. I'm bought into them. Then Packers at 5, Eagles at 6, and then you guys did talk me into the Seahawks. I do kind of believe in
Let's
Geno.
go.
Let's go. Let's go Seahawks. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty similar there. The Saints and Falcons are kind of where we disagree. I can't get that last Week 18 performance out of my head, though, when the Saints just boat raced the Falcons, and I get that Ritter was the starting quarterback then, but I think about the Falcons secondary and how they all got mossed by Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, and how the secondary is still the same. And I think I feel like when I think about the Falcons and the way everybody is talking about their quarterback situation this year, when you look at that, I think people are expecting Kirk Cousins is going to be playing at the level that he played at last year, right? Like we're adding MVP level quarterback play or something like that to this offense. I feel like that's kind of the sentiment. And then when people talk about the Saints quarterback situation, it's like Derek Carr is going to be benched for Rattler. They have the worst offense in the league. There's just no way that they can accomplish anything.
Harassment.
And it's like, okay, we're talking about Kirk Cousins versus Derek Carr here. Like, how big is the difference really?
Well, I do think that Kirk Cousins is better than Derek Carr. And I think I like the Falcons' receiving weapons better. And I like their running back better. And I like their offensive line better. And all of those things, I'm not really debating. I mean, where do you think the Saints offense is going to rank next year?
Probably 17th.
You think it'll be 17th?
Maybe 18th. You move me down one spot.
I feel like that's more likely where the Falcons offense is going to rank. Is 16, 17.
I guess
because they were the Falcons were a terrible offense last year, and now they're adding Kirk Cousins. I feel like Kirk Cousins will bring that up to slightly above average, and then the Saints I feel like are probably not going to have that great of an offense.
I don't know. I think I kind of bought into the Falcons. Also, no Arthur Smith. I'm going to be real with you, no Ritter.
Wow, the Ritter hate.
Well, that's a
coffin.
Losing Ritter is
I'm surprised that the Saints' offense didn't rank worse last year, but I just look on paper. I think their offensive line is rough. I think their run game is going to be rough. Carr, I'll give you, I don't think is quite as bad. It's dude, they should throw in Spencer Rattler. I don't know. Should they?
Probably
no.
Why other than
they
he's
should not.
Young? It's I think that would be. Yeah. I think Rattler would be pretty rough. He has his moments. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not on the Rattler train, unfortunately. But I don't know. I like the Falcons.
I mean, their stars are better, but I think the consistency. There could be some team chemistry in New Orleans because,
by the way.
All I'm saying, Kirk Cousins was pissed when they drafted Penix, man, and he's real for that.
Who do you have as your NFC South winner?
Bucks.
There we go.
Oh.
There we go.
Trust in the Bake Show, man. He's back, better than ever.
That's fair. I mean, all of these teams are going to be I'm not dude, you're nuts if you think the Bucks will win 9 games.
Yeah, this 9-8, this 9-8 4 seed is gonna move mountains, man. But I'll tell you the rest of my NFC. I'm really shocked on how out on the Eagles you guys are.
I think a 6th seed is really not as out on them.
Maybe not. I have them as the 1 seed though. So yeah, man, they're back. Jalen Hurts healthy. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley. That offense is going to be electric. Who's stopping that offense? You tell me, man. The answer, I don't know. Not a defense in the NFC, that's for sure.
What about the Buccaneers defense?
Stopping. Maybe last year.
It
stopped him last. Yeah, they did stop him, but Jalen Hurts was injured. He was playing banged up. Okay. He's healthy now. He's going to be able to sling it. He's going to find A.J. Brown. He's going to find Devonta. They're going to be able to run a very similar offense to what we're projecting with Lamar and Derrick Henry. Why can't that be similar to what we see in Philly? I think they're going to be the 1 seed in the NFC. I think the Lions are the 2 seed. The 49ers are the 3 seed. Tampa Bay's the 4 seed because they have to be.
0 for 3 on putting the 49ers at the 1 seed. Go ahead and lock it up.
49ers fans are going to hate us.
Well, got to be different somehow, unfortunately.
Yeah,
49ers the 1 seed is the way to do it.
You hold on. You just asked me what the difference is between the Ravens being the 1 seed and the Eagles being the 1 seed, right? Last year, the Ravens defense ranked 2nd in EPA per play, and the Eagles defense ranked 29th
to last. Yeah.
Okay. So that to me is the difference. Like, not only do you have the question marks on offense, where it's like, what is Nick Sirianni? What is he doing? Right? Like, is there going to be a smooth operation between him and the offensive coordinator and Jalen Hurts? Because that really fell apart last year. They got blitzed by the Giants. They got blitzed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles at a high rate. They had no answers. This year, Kelsey is gone. It's all on Jalen Hurts now to call out the protections. Like, obviously, that's all up in the air. Is that going to be a good or bad thing? I don't know. Maybe Kelsey was messing up the blitz calls last year, and that's why they were bad. The Hall of Fame center in his 12th years. But just the fact that process
he was doing
is still
too many podcasts. That's all I'm saying.
He wasn't studying. Maybe. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about what their answers versus the blitz after that just completely shredded them last year. And I think that their defense is talented, but they couldn't tackle anybody last year. Is a new defensive coordinator going to solve that? I don't know. Their secondary is a bit on the older, like, it's kind of weird because they're kind of on the on the older side, and they're also a bit on the younger side, but like no one's in their prime.
Yeah, their mean age is very normal, but the range is very wide.
I can see them being good. I can see them even winning this division over the Cowboys. I can see them being better than what I have them at, which is the 7th seed with all these questions. But I just see if. And the last time we saw them, it was so bad. And now it's largely the same team. I know it's a slightly new coaching staff, but the guy at the top is still there who didn't engineer a very good culture last year. I don't know. I just think saying that they are going to pass a team like the Lions, who have a great culture, and like maybe more defensive improvement in the Packers and the 49ers even, like, I just can't get behind it.
Look, I agree with you on the defensive stuff, but I look at the rest of the NFC, and I don't see a whole lot of like top 10 defenses anyway. Right. And so
what about the 49ers? They ranked as a top 10 defense when we ranked them. Like, I know that we're maybe saying like they're not a top 5 defense anymore or something like that, but I think they'll be a lot better than the Eagles defense.
Oh, I don't disagree. But there is something about I do think the Eagles having that new coaching staff, I do think is going to make an impact. A lot of their entire coaching staff last year was like internal promotions. And so it's not just like Nick Sirianni was basically the only guy. Like everything kind of would be running through Sirianni. Now you're bringing in guys that are like, it's their ideas. It's not like, well, Nick Sirianni promoted me, so I guess I got to like do whatever he wants. It's like, well, we brought in this guy. He's like, you brought me in now, so let me just do my thing.
Yeah, like there's no way that Sirianni is so hands-on. I don't think Sirianni is going to have like his hand in the cookie jar as much now, which is ideal. That's what you want. And I do think the offense is going to be massively better than it was.
You know what? You know how I look at it?
How?
It's like the 49ers have Kyle Shanahan. And the Packers have Matt LaFleur. And the Lions have Ben Johnson. And the Eagles have a wild card, you know? Like, is it going to be top-level play calling like those teams already have? maybe, but I might bet on like the Lions, who I know for a fact are going to have a great offense. There is no mystery there. There is no question mark. There is no what is this guy's impact. I guess I have some questions about their wide receiver depth, but their weapons, no. And their wide receiver depth wasn't good last year. You know, with the Packers, I really, really have very few questions about them, other than, I guess, sample size of Jordan Love playing like he did the last 8 games of last year. But honestly, like, it's pretty clear that he's got it and that he's going to continue to play like that. You know, and with the 49ers, there's offensive line concerns, but there was last year, and they were great. These teams are straight running it back with great offenses, and I think the Eagles are the only one where it's a mix, and they've got the guys for it. That I'll give you.
You know what's crazy though? All this stuff about the Eagles' bad culture and everything was wrong for them last year, and yet they were still a top 10 offense in the NFL. Borderline top 5 offense. They had a bottom 2 defense the back half of the year, and they still were a playoff team. Like, they were still a very, very good football team. And so I'm like, well, everything's going to be, if things are even marginally better, the offense was already still great despite all the continuity issues, despite Jalen Hurts being injured. Healthy Jalen Hurts, addition of Saquon Barkley. The run game is now like completely different. Like, they weren't really giving Swift optimal touches. They will be giving Saquon Barkley optimal touches. Like, that completely changes the way that their offense functions. I think their offense is going to be right there with, Detroit and with San Francisco, because it was last year and everything was wrong. And the defense, it might not be great. It might not be top 5, top 10, but it probably won't be bottom 5 again. So I just look at that and I'm like, they were good last year when everything was wrong. If things are better, which they probably will be, they won't be. I will say, and I'll give this foreshadow, I don't have them going to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be a great regular season team. And I think they'll I think like the culture of Sirianni will eventually catch up with them at some point. But I don't think it'll be in the regular season.
But I feel like that almost ignores exactly what happened with the Eagles last year. They fell apart. Like, they completely collapsed, and they sucked at the end of last year. They sucked. They weren't like, they were terrible. After, I forget what game it was, the 49ers won. They won, one more game the entire year? And even all year before that, they were like on the cusp of a little bit of a collapse. Look, I'll give you that their offense could be great again.
Yeah.
And I think we've all got them in the playoffs. We got them at the 6th seed. I've got them probably with like 11 wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they were last year. I just have them with 13. So
yeah, obviously, like there's some like within striking distance, but what their offense is going to look like is a mystery to me when there's so many other great offenses in the NFC that aren't, and I know they're going to be great. That I think just can't be like they've got the best odds to be the 1 seed.
I think that there's a very real chance they're playing better football in December this year than they were last year. Like, there's almost a certainty that they will. Mm-hmm. But I also don't think they're going to start like 9-1 again. I think it's just going to kind of be more average throughout.
And that's kind of what I have. I think I have them.
Well,
starting.
you have them being great from start to end if they're the 1 seed, right?
I have them winning 13. So like they start. I think I have them starting out. What is that? 6 wins to start, and then 7 wins to finish.
Well, when do those wins come?
Well, I'm trying to count where all those. Oh, I just. Like,
how about this? Okay, just say win or loss here. Packers.
Hold on, I gotta pull it back up. But I think I had them beating the Packers.
Falcons.
Yes, I have them beating the Packers. I have them beating the Falcons. I have them I have them winning all their games before the bye.
Okay, so you think they're going to continue like just 9-1 and they're not going to fall off this time?
No, I have them coming out of the bye losing to the Browns.
Oh, of course. Come on.
I have them losing to the Browns and to the Bengals.
But you have
they're gonna struggle to the mighty AFC North, but They're going to go 13-4.
Dude, like,
they're going to go 13-4 with losses to the Bengals.
5 of their
Ravens,
first 7 games
Steelers.
are against like the NFC South and the Giants, dog. Like, let's be real.
Packers beating him in Brazil, I'm afraid. But I'm no better than you for saying that, you know.
Yeah, you're not. You're not any better than me. I didn't even give my 5 through 7. I have the Cowboys. The Cowboys are my 5. The Packers are my 6 because I have the Lions winning the North, and then the Seahawks are my 7.
Ooh, we have no Bears too. Lock in 49ers, one seed Bears in the playoffs.
I could see the Bears being better than the Eagles in that 7-seed or the Seahawks. I definitely
could see them being better than the Seahawks. I'm very borderline on that.
Yeah, they're very similarly built. I feel like the distribution of talent throughout that team. You got the 3 receivers, you got the franchise quarterback, and you got the defense with the talent distribution for the Bears is a little bit more secondary heavy in that like all of their secondary pieces are potentially all pros, and then their offensive line, like the Seahawks backup, is now going to be a crucial piece for the Bears this year, Darrell Taylor. So I think that those two are very similar caliber.
Yeah, I found myself when making just like my overall like season predictions, I'm like, man, I keep going through the Bears. I get through every team, and I'm like, I always end up like, oh man, the Bears could beat them. And I found myself saying that for a lot of teams. So.
Definitely, but maybe just a bit too young. That's kind of where I'm at. Like the running game, maybe some silly mistakes. I don't know. We'll see.
This isn't their year. I think they'll be good, but I don't think this is the year for them. But Super Bowl. We've given our AFC and NFC seeding. Theo, who do you have in the Super Bowl, and who do you have winning it?
It's my 1 seeds. It's the Packers and the Ravens. I think the Ravens will do it. I think I think Lamar is going to get one. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I'm ignoring the evidence in front of me with some of his playoff numbers. I think people are a little bit too premature writing off what he's capable of in the playoffs. Even though we haven't seen it yet, there's still a lot of football for him to play. So I think that he's going to have a good playoff run, and they're gonna make it. And I have the Ravens beating the Packers. I think they'll be Super Bowl champions.
There you go.
Unbiased
Matt.
king. I've got. I've also got my 1 seeds. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. Like, pick the teams that I think are going to be shittier because upsets happen. Like I guess I'm going Chiefs, Lions. Almost kind of Ravens-esque. I think the Lions run would be here. In sort of the sense where it's like, well, that was their year and it didn't happen. And it's like, well, okay. But then it's like you look at them in the offseason, you're like, they didn't really get worse. Like, yeah, it's going to be tough for the breaks, but like I'll take the field over anybody when it comes to making the Super Bowl, right? Outside of maybe Kansas City, who I've got in, and I've got 3-peating. I think they get it done again.
Ooh, that would be so electric.
And I can see like the narratives like shaping up this way where it's like the Lions versus a team going for a 3-peat, and it's like the Chiefs just won again. I think Mahomes is just too good. I think this team looks really, really strong.
Yeah.
And I think that the Chiefs' weakness of corner, I feel like wouldn't be as exposed versus a team that isn't as strong at receiver. I guess would be if I had to analyze a hypothetical Super Bowl a little bit.
That is my exact matchup and outcome also, Matt, except the Lions were my 2 seed. Though I will say, I did have a couple of upsets just in my playoff bracket. I had the Packers, 6 seed, beating a 3 seed 49ers. I also had a 6 seed Texans beating a 3 seed Dolphins. So
okay, I could see that. I mean, I could see that. I don't think those are massive. Maybe the Packers over the 49ers. I'll take where I can get it. I mean, it's never happened before. So if anybody has faith in it happening, I'll have to take it.
49ers in the playoffs.
I'll have to take it. My take this year, they'll be the 1 seed and they'll just not play the 49ers this time.
Hey, well then I'll
skip
even
them.
out all the takes and I'll say they match up again, and it's 4 more Jordan Love hamburgers to lose it.
Or more. No, he's going to be clutcher this year. I have a question before we get out. We just predicted the Super Bowl. Who do you think the worst team in the league will be? And then let's wrap it up. I'll go first. I say Washington. I think Washington is going to be the worst team in the league this year.
That's a really tough one. All right, I cannot say my Panthers because of politics. And also, deep down, I just don't believe that's going to be the case.
They are my second pick. They're going to have the second overall pick.
You know, I'm kind of thinking like the Raiders might really, really, really suck. Or the Giants. Those are the 2 teams. I know the Raiders kind of got a decent number of wins last year, and the Giants should be better. But, like, somebody's got to do it here, right? It may be my Panthers again. I'll go Giants.
Yeah,
Giants, okay.
I think I'm also leaning Giants. Washington's not a
NFC
bad pick
East on
either.
top.
They're such a weird division, man. They really are. But, like, yeah, the Giants, Commanders. I would throw... I might throw the Titans in that mix.
I would agree with you. They're not out of the. They've spent a lot, but I would definitely not be surprised if they were the worst.
Right. It's like, is the run game going to be good? Are they going to be able to throw the ball well?
What is it?
Is
Tony
the defense
Pollard and
really
Tajay
like there?
Spears?
Like I don't know. I think I like them a little bit. But like even all these teams we're talking about, like the Raiders have a pretty cool like pass rush duo. Same with the Giants. I think the Titans have spent a lot of money that you would think would keep them out of the basement entirely, right?
Yeah.
And
Actually, the real choice, I hate to say it because we love this guy, it'll probably be the Patriots.
Patriots aren't a bad take. It's not impossible. They've lost Judon. Barmore has blood clots. They might not start May.
Like, even if May plays, who we think is better than Brissett,
every division
is going to be good.
Brutal.
Like, their division is tough, and their offense sucks. Like, they've got no weapons.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is going to be, like, worst in the league until May gets in there, and then even then. I like some of their pieces on defense, but who are we not saying that for right now?
Yeah.
With these bad teams. It's like kind of a lot.
Yeah, like they've got
Like
Gonzalez, they've got Duggar, they've got Barmore, but like they lost their leading pass rusher last year, or like the last couple of years. That might be my pick,
Okay, I agree. I'll go ultimate respect moment for Bill Belichick, Patriots worst team in the league. Impact proven.
Yeah, and then they fire Gerard Mayo and they hire Ben Johnson from the Lions when he finally leaves.
I'm liking my Commanders pick. I think New England's defense, even with the blood clots of the Judon trade, is going to keep them out of the. And I think we'll see May, and he'll be a little bit better than Daniels. What are the Washington Commanders?
Peyton Manning in his rookie year, would they go 3-13?
That is true.
They did.
I don't really like Washington much at all either. Like, I don't think they might be, I don't know. There's a good, this is what I'm saying. There's like a good number of teams that really stink this year, I think. I think the basement is going to be competitive as hell for who's going to be the worst.
I've said I think there's 9 hopeless teams that are like, they're not making the playoffs. Like, there's no way. I won't say who they are, but
Cut that list down by 1, I'm thinking. All right, I can get down with your pick then. But they did get Frankie Louvu. Hold on.
They did get Frankie Louvu, so that means they're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but all right. I'm still not clear on what your guys' answers are, but that's good enough.
I'm picking the Patriots.
I'll go Patriots.
I'm picking the Patriots.
Okay, good enough for me.
I just had to like talk myself through it, but yeah, I'll pick the Pats. But yes, that'll wrap things up for another episode of Stay Hot. Our next episode will be previewing Week 1 of the NFL season. It's finally here, guys. Let's go. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, we will catch you on the Flippity Flop.